I count the last $5 bill and place it carefully atop the stack. $400 exactly. The bills tremble slightly between my fingers as I slide them into the envelope marked rent in my neat handwriting. Another month, another payment to live in my own childhood bedroom. Downstairs, laughter erupts. Mom's musical chuckle followed by Dad's hearty boom. Then Lennox's voice, excited and breathless, discussing something about campus tours and dorm options. You should have seen the student center, Mom. It had this amazing atrium with... I press my lips together and try to focus on sealing the envelope, but my hands won't stop shaking. My small desk, the same one I've had since 6th grade, sits wedged between my narrow bed and the wall. The room feels smaller every month, shrinking with each rent payment, with each reminder that I am a tenant now, not a daughter. The theater department looked incredible, Lennox continues, her voice carrying up the stairs. And the dorms had these big windows overlooking the quad. Dad says something I can't quite catch, his voice warm with pride. I tuck the envelope into my worn leather wallet and check my phone. My shift at Sunflower Bakery starts at 5 a.m. The alarm is already set for 4:15. I stand up, my legs stiff from sitting cross-legged too long. My room is tidy by necessity, there's no space for clutter. A single bed with a faded quilt. The small desk. A dresser with 3 drawers. The bookshelf where I keep my textbooks, carefully arranged by course. No posters on the walls anymore, no trinkets, nothing unnecessary. We need to talk about your allowance while you're at school, honey, Mom says downstairs, her voice rising with excitement. I freeze. Allowance? I think $200 a month should cover your personal expenses, Dad adds. Textbooks we'll handle separately, of course. My throat tightens. Something hot and sharp presses behind my eyes. And Rick down at the dealership said he can hold that blazer for another 2 weeks. Dad continues, his voice brimming with satisfaction. Perfect timing for your graduation. Just the right SUV for a college freshman. We're so proud of you, sweetheart, Mom chimes in. We've been building this college fund since you were little. Nothing but the best for our girl. The college fund. The words hit me like a physical blow. I sink back onto my bed, the springs creaking beneath me. Why wasn't there a college fund for me? 1 year ago. Graduation day. The borrowed dress from my cousin Melissa because Mom said buying one wasn't practical. The tight smiles during photos. The serious talk afterward at our kitchen table. Dad straightening his tie, clearing his throat. Rhea, you're 18 now, an adult. And adults pay their way. Mom nodding, her eyes not quite meeting mine. $400 rent starts next month. You cover everything else, your phone, your car insurance, your food. I blink rapidly, pulling myself back to the present. The memory feels like a bruise I keep pressing, expecting it to hurt less each time. It never does. My alarm rings at 4:15 a.m. By 4:30, I'm biking through the dark streets to the bakery. At noon, I race to campus for classes until 4. Then freelance writing jobs until midnight, hunched over my laptop, eyes burning. The budgeting notebook sits open on my desk, its columns of numbers, a puzzle I can never quite solve. Rent, $400. Phone, $60. Car insurance, $112. Textbooks this semester, $327. The equation never balances. My designated shelf in the refrigerator stays nearly empty. The handwritten label, Rhea's Food, feels like a joke some weeks. I skip lunch to afford gas. Meanwhile, Lennox orders pizza with friends, the empty boxes left on the counter. Tonight, after a failed literature assignment and a double shift that left my feet aching, I stand in front of my small desk and stare at the envelope marked rent. The tears I've been holding back all day finally spill over. My fingers reach for my phone, scrolling to Grandpa Everett's number. My throat feels raw like I've swallowed glass, but I press the call button anyway. The phone rings 3 times before his warm, familiar voice answers. Rhea? Sweetheart, it's late. Everything okay? I open my mouth to speak, to say I'm fine, to apologize for calling at midnight. What comes out instead is a broken whisper. Grandpa, I can't do this anymore. My composure, the wall I've built so carefully these past 12 months, crumbles entirely. My shoulders shake with silent sobs as I clutch the phone, tears falling onto the envelope below. I'm so tired, I whisper, the admission breaking something loose inside me. I'm so tired. I sink deeper into my narrow bed, the springs protesting beneath me. Words stick in my throat. I'm here, he says, his tone shifting from sleepy to alert. Talk to me. I work 60 hours a week. The confession spills out, quiet but steady. Bakery at dawn, classes all afternoon, freelance writing until midnight, and my voice catches. I still pay them $400 rent to live in my childhood bedroom. The silence stretches between us, heavy with his unspoken concern. Sometimes I skip lunch, I whisper, shame heating my face despite no one being here to witness it. The shelf in the fridge with my name it's almost always empty. I can't afford groceries and textbooks in the same week. Ria Elizabeth. His voice hardens slightly, the rare use of my middle name signaling his distress. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I stare at the ceiling, following a hairline crack I've memorized during countless sleepless nights. I thought it was normal, growing up, becoming responsible. The words taste bitter. Meanwhile, Dad's buying Lennox a brand new blazer for graduation. A college present, he called it. The line goes so quiet I check to make sure the call hasn't dropped. Then Grandpa clears his throat. What did you say about a blazer? For Lennox. They're holding it at the dealership. And they've set up a college fund for her. My voice wavers. $200 monthly allowance while she's at school. Another silence, longer this time. When Grandpa speaks again, his voice carries an edge I've rarely heard. But what about the college money? I frown, confused. What college money? The $42,000 we gave your parents last year. Each word falls like a stone. For your education. The world tilts sideways. My fingers go numb around the phone as his words echo in my head. $42,000. My education. What are you talking about? I barely recognize my own voice. Your grandmother and I withdrew it from our retirement account. The tremor in his voice betrays his age, his controlled anger. We transferred it directly to your parents' joint account last June. 2 weeks before your high school graduation. My free hand presses against my mouth, stifling a sound between a gasp and a sob. They promised it was for your college tuition, your apartment, your books. He pauses, breath ragged. They showed us brochures from state universities, talked about how proud they were of you. The room spins around me. Lennox's SUV. The mysterious college fund they've mentioned for her. The timing of their sudden demand for rent. I have the bank withdrawal receipt. Grandpa continues, his voice steadying with resolve. And the transfer confirmation with both their signatures. For Ria's future, your father wrote on the form. For hours after we hang up, I sit motionless on my bed. The envelope marked rent mocks me from my desk. I stare at my hands in the dim light calloused from kneading dough, nails cut short for practicality. Baker's hands. Working hands. Hands that have passed over thousands of dollars to the people who betrayed me. My laptop glows blue in the darkness as I pull up my bank account. The regular withdrawals stare back at me. $400 on the first of every month, labeled rent, 12 payments. $4,800 total. Nearly $5,000 while they sat on $42,000 meant for me. My mind calculates unbidden. Lennox's new blazer, approximately $34,000. Her monthly allowance, $200. The college fund, they mentioned downstairs. My money, my future, my sacrifice. The betrayal burns through my chest, settling into something harder and colder than I've ever felt before. Not just the money, though, that would be enough, but the calculated cruelty of it. Making me pay rent while holding my college fund. Watching me work myself to exhaustion while planning my sister's carefree campus life. My phone lights up with a text message. Grandpa, I'm coming to town tomorrow. First bus arrives at 10:15 a.m. Before I can respond, another message appears. This wasn't yours to lose, and it's not theirs to take. My thumb hovers over the screen. Fear mingles with the anger coursing through me. Confronting them means everything changes. The fragile pretense of family, shattered beyond repair. But something else rises within me. Unfamiliar yet somehow right, a fierce sense of justice that straightens my shoulders and steadies my hands. I'll meet you at the house, I type back. The plan forms between us in short, determined messages. Evidence, confrontation, consequences. For the first time in a year, I don't set my alarm for the bakery. Tomorrow requires a different kind of strength. Next day, Grandpa Everett stands on the porch, one hand resting on his worn leather briefcase. The autumn sun catches on his silver hair, casting a halo around his weathered face. His charcoal suit, the same one he's worn to every important family occasion for 20 years, shangs perfectly from his tall frame. I open the door before he can knock. You came. His eyes, so like mine, crinkle at the corners. I told you I would, didn't I? He enfolds me in a hug that smells of aftershave and peppermint. For a moment, I let myself lean into his strength. The sound of footsteps breaks us apart. Mom appears in the foyer, her smile too bright, her floral blouse freshly pressed. Everett, what a wonderful surprise. She kisses his cheek, careful not to smudge her lipstick. Robert, look who's here. Dad emerges from his study, extending his hand. Good to see you, Everett. You should have called ahead. We'd have made plans. This isn't a social call. Grandpa's voice remains pleasant, but his grip on the briefcase tightens. Mom's smile doesn't waver. Come in, come in. Lennox just got her SAT scores back. 98th percentile. Harvard's practically a guarantee now. Stanford's my first choice, Mom. Lennox bounces down the stairs in her cheerleading uniform, ponytail swinging. Hi, Grandpa. Hello, sweetheart. Grandpa nods at her, then looks directly at me. I stand straighter, drawing strength from his steady gaze. Robert, Diana need to discuss something important. He walks past them into the dining room without waiting for permission. My parents exchange a quick glance, confusion flickering between them. Mom gestures toward the kitchen. Lennox, honey, why don't you? She should hear this too. I say, my voice quieter than intended but firm enough to stop Mom mid-sentence. We follow Grandpa to the dining table, the same oak surface where, a year ago, my parents laid out their expectations of rent and adulthood. Grandpa sets his briefcase down with a soft thud and clicks open the brass latches. Dad sits at the head of the table, adjusting his collar. What's this about, Everett? I place my latest pay stubs beside Grandpa's bank records, the evidence of our separate realities laid bare on the dining room table. While you bought Lennox a new SUV, the words taste bitter on my tongue. While you set up her college fund. Dad's face reddens. You were supposed to be an adult, learning responsibility. Responsibility? Grandpa's voice rises. You stole her future and called it a lesson. Mom begins to cry, quiet tears that smear her mascara. We never meant. You meant exactly what you did, I interrupt, surprising myself. You decided I was worth less. The truth hangs in the air between us, undeniable and ugly. Grandpa stands, his height suddenly imposing. Here's what happens now. You will repay every cent of Ria's money or you're both out of the will. Dad's face pales. Everett, be reasonable. I'm being perfectly reasonable. Grandpa places his hand on my shoulder. And Ria, my home is yours, for as long as you need. No rent, no conditions. You can't just take her, Mom protests. Take her? Grandpa's voice drops to a whisper that somehow fills the room. She's 22 years old, Diana. You can't keep charging her to exist in your home while spending her college fund on her sister. A small sound draws our attention to the doorway. Lennox stands frozen, tears streaming down her face. Is that true? She asks, looking at our parents. You spent Ria's money on my car? Dad stands abruptly. This is between the adults, Lennox. No. My voice surprises me again with its strength. This concerns her too. She deserves to know what her future is being built on. Lennox's eyes meet mine across the room wide, shocked, and suddenly older. For the first time in years, I see my sister instead of my replacement. Pack your things, Ria, Grandpa says quietly. You don't have to spend another night here. Mom reaches for my hand. Honey, we can work this out. I step back from her touch, feeling the distance between us like a physical thing, a gap that's been growing for years while I pretended not to notice. No, I say simply. I don't think we can. Dad slams his palm against the table. This is ridiculous. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done? Grandpa's voice cuts through the room like a blade. You've been stealing from your own daughter and calling it parenting. The silence that follows feels like the first honest moment this family has shared in years. The next day, the cardboard box sits open on my bed, half filled with the sparse collection I call possessions. My hands move methodically, folding each shirt with precision, stacking each book by size. The room feels different today, lighter somehow, as if the walls themselves anticipate my departure. I place my old teddy bear on top, his worn fur catching the afternoon light. For a moment, I hesitate, then tuck him firmly into the corner of the box. 22 feels too old for stuffed animals, but Grandpa won't judge. The note takes 3 attempts. First draft, too angry. Second, too apologetic. Third, just right. I'm moving in with Grandpa, don't call me. 5 years of accumulated resentment distilled into 9 plain words on college-ruled paper. I leave it centered on the stripped mattress, weighted down with my house key, the one I never needed to return because, technically, I've been a paying tenant. Downstairs, the house remains quiet. Mom at her book club. Dad at the office. Lennox at cheer practice. The perfect window for a clean break. I slide open my sock drawer and remove the small jewelry box buried beneath practical cotton pears. Inside gleams my graduation gift from Grandpa's silver pendant watch that belonged to Grandma. Too precious to wear daily. I saved it for special occasions. This qualifies. The kitchen counter looks immaculate as always. Mom's domain, where she creates elaborate meals for Dad and Lennox, while my shelf in the refrigerator holds yogurt cups and apples. I place my key beside the fruit bowl, metal against polished granite. The sound feels final. No note here. No explanation beyond the simple absence of my presence. I carry the box to my Karth, ancient Corolla, purchased with my own bakery wages. The passenger seat accepts my box without complaint. One trip, 22 years condensed to a single cardboard container. Something about that feels both pathetic and liberating. As I back out of the driveway, I don't look in the rearview mirror. Some views aren't worth revisiting. The highway stretches before me, 30 minutes to Grandpa's house on the other side of town. Traffic moves steadily, ordinary people living ordinary Tuesday afternoons with no idea that my life just split into before and after. Grandpa waits on his porch, rocking chair creaking a steady rhythm. His silver hair catches sunlight, his weathered hands resting on denim-covered knees. At 74, he stands straighter than men 20 years younger, his carpenter's posture a testament to decades of honest work. There she is, he calls, voice warm as fresh bread. He doesn't rush toward me, doesn't make a fuss. Just waits while I park and gather my box. This all you bringing? He eyes the single container. Everything worth keeping. He nods, understanding the weight of unspoken things. Come on in then. Got your room ready. The house smells of coffee and old books, the familiar scent of my childhood sanctuary, small but impeccably maintained, with handcrafted bookshelves lining every available wall. Where my parents' home showcases status, Grandpa's showcases stories. He leads me down the short hallway to what had always been his study. The desk remains but has been pushed against the window. A twin bed with a blue quilt occupies the opposite wall. Simple, functional, mine. Figured you needed the desk for schoolwork. He shrugs, hands in pockets. Bathroom still where you remember. Kitchen's always open. Grandpa, my voice catches. None of that now. He pats my shoulder. Family takes care of family. Real family, that is. I place my box on the bed, suddenly conscious of how little I own. I can pay rent. I have savings now that. Absolutely not. His tone brooks no argument. You focus on finishing school. Store needs help anyway. 15 hours a week, we'll call it even. The bookstore. Everett's Books and Curiosities. The downtown cornerstone he's run for 40 years. My childhood refuge of hidden corners and endless adventures. Deal. I extend my hand formally and he shakes it with a chuckle. Dinner's at 6. Nothing fancy. Get yourself settled. Left alone, I unpack with deliberate care. Clothes in the small dresser, books on the empty shelf above the desk, laptop connected to the outlet. Each item placed with intention, marking territory in a way I never could in my childhood room. The bed welcomes me when I finally sit, springs accommodating rather than protesting. Through the window, sunlight filters through oak leaves, casting dappled shadows on hardwood floors. No alarm set for 4:15 a.m., no rent envelope waiting to be filled. Sleep finds me between one breath and the next, deeper and more complete than any I've known in years. Morning arrives without the shriek of alarms, birds outside the window, coffee scent drifting from the kitchen. My phone shows 7 missed calls from Mom, 3 from Dad, and a barrage of texts from Lennox ranging from confused to furious. I leave them all unanswered. 3 weeks later, Grandpa and I establish routines with surprising ease. Breakfast together, classes for me, store hours for him, dinner discussions about books and customers. Evenings of quiet companionship, him with crosswords, Me with textbooks. The bookstore becomes my afternoon sanctuary, dusty shelves and regular customers offering stability my life had lacked. Word filters back through mutual acquaintances, mom crying at church, dad explaining my temporary breakdown to neighbors. The real news comes from Lennox's friends who visit the bookstore. Lennox told to get a part-time job. The SUV downgraded to a used sedan. College housing changed from private dorm to shared accommodation. The financial reality has finally hit home. Another week passes. Then two. The calls taper but never cease entirely. Each missed connection builds a wall between past and present, brick by digital brick. One Thursday afternoon brings unexpected confrontation. The bookstore bell jingles as I shelve new arrivals. I turn, customer smile ready, only to find Lennox standing in the history section, school backpack slung over one shoulder. Her eyes shine with unshed tears. You ruined everything. I continue shelving, hands steady despite my pounding heart. Hello to you too. Mom cries every night. Dad had to cancel his golf membership. My graduation party got downsized. She counts grievances on manicured fingers. Because of you. The accusation hangs between us, bitter as unripe fruit. I place the final book biography of Eleanor Roosevelt and face my sister fully. Talk to mom and dad, I say, voice even. They stole from me. $40,000? That's crazy. They wouldn't. $42,000. Grandpa's retirement money meant for my college. The numbers no longer hurt to say. They took it, then charged me rent while working me to exhaustion. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. But the college fund. They said they saved for years. Ask them where that money came from. I straighten a row of classics. Ask them why I paid rent while you got allowance. It's not my fault. Her voice rises, drawing attention from the elderly man browsing nearby. I never said it was. Something in my calm reply deflates her anger. She slumps against the bookshelf, suddenly looking younger than 17. Everything's different now, she whispers. They fight all the time. Mom said we might have to sell the house. I should feel vindication. Instead, a hollow ache fills my chest. That's between you and them. You have to come back. Fix this. No. The word emerges without hesitation. I don't. Her face crumples, tears spilling over. So you're just abandoning me? Some sister. The accusation stings, but not enough to weaken my resolve. I'm a phone call away, Lennox. Always have been. But I won't live in that house again. She wipes her eyes angrily, mascara smudging across her cheek. They're telling everyone you had a nervous breakdown. A surprising laugh escapes me. Of course they are. I walk to the counter, find a business card, and write my number on the back. Here. This line stays open for you. Always. But mom and dad? They're blocked. She takes the card, staring at it like an unfamiliar object. I don't understand any of this. You will. I return to my shelving cart. Start by asking the right questions. After she leaves, I pull out my phone and block my parents' numbers with 2 decisive taps. The action brings no joy, only quiet certainty. The line to Lennox remains open, a single bridge to my old life, maintained on my terms alone. That night, sleeping beneath Grandpa's roof, I dream of empty rooms and full bookshelves, of keys returned and doors finally locked from the outside. The morning sun slants through the bookstore windows, casting golden rectangles across the hardwood floor. I arrange a display of mystery novels, my fingers lingering on the embossed cover of a first edition. 4 months at Grandpa's store, and already this space feels more like home than my childhood bedroom ever did. Special delivery, Grandpa calls, pushing through the door with a cardboard tray balancing 2 coffee cups. His silver hair catches the light as he sets the tray on the counter. 1 black coffee for me, 1 vanilla latte for the star employee. I accept the cup with both hands, savoring the warmth. Thanks, Grandpa. How's that American literature paper coming along? Turned it in yesterday. Professor Jackson said my analysis of Steinbeck was remarkably insightful. The words still feel strange in my mouth, praise without qualification, acknowledgement without strings. Not surprising. Grandpa taps his temple. You've got the Everett brain, sharp as they come. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I ignore it. That's the 3rd time this morning, Grandpa notes, eyebrows raised above his reading glasses. I pull out the phone and glance at the screen. Lennox again. You going to answer this time? The question hangs between us as I stare at my sister's name. Weeks of silence since that day at the library. But also of her messages ranging from accusatory to pleading. This one simply reads, "Can we talk? Please." "Not now," I say, sliding the phone back into my pocket. "The new shipment needs processing." Grandpa doesn't push. Instead, he hands me the store keys. "I'm trusting you to close up tonight. I've got that doctor's appointment at 4. The weight of the keys feels significant in my palm, trust made tangible. Not earned through exhaustion or paid for in $5 bills, but freely given. "I'll be fine," I assure him, moving toward the storage room. I thought I might rearrange the classics section afterward, group them by time period instead of just alphabetical. "Make it yours," Grandpa says with a nod. "This place could use a young person's touch." By evening, I've transformed the classics corner with wooden crates I found in storage, creating a stepped display that showcases leather-bound editions. My small potted fern sits atop the highest crate, adding a touch of green life to the aged pages below. My midterm grades arrived this afternoon, 3 as in a B+. Without the crushing fatigue of 60-hour work weeks, my brain functions again. Ideas flow. Words come easily. Sleep actually restores. When my phone buzzes again at 7, I'm balanced on a stepladder, arranging travel memoirs by continent. This time, I answer. "Hello?" Silence, then a shaky inhale. "Ria?" Lennox's voice sounds smaller than I remember. "I'm here." My tone remains neutral, neither welcoming nor dismissive. "I didn't know." The words rush out. "About the money. About what they did. I swear, Ria, I didn't know." I close my eyes, one hand gripping the ladder rung. "Okay. That's it? Just okay?" "What do you want me to say, Lennox? That I forgive you? That everything's fine now?" "No," she pauses. "Maybe just that you believe me." I step down from the ladder, moving to the window seat where afternoon readers often linger. Outside, streetlights flicker on as dusk deepens. "Can we meet somewhere?" she asks into my silence. "Not at home. Somewhere neutral." The request surprises me. Why? Because they've been lying to me too. My fingers tighten around the phone. "About what?" "Everything. College. Money." Her voice cracks. "You." We agree to meet at Copper Cup, a coffee shop equidistant between Grandpa's store and our parents' house. The following afternoon, I arrive 15 minutes early, claiming a corner table with clear sightlines to both the entrance and exit. Old habits. Lennox walks in 5 minutes late, her usual confidence diminished. Her hair hangs straight instead of styled, her clothes simple rather than trendy. She spots me and hesitates before approaching. "Thanks for coming," she says, sliding into the seat across from me. I nod once, waiting. "After you left, everything changed." She stares into her coffee cup. "Dad said I couldn't have the blazer anymore. Mom said my allowance would have to wait. Then last week, I overheard them arguing about money, about having to pay back Grandpa. And Mom said something about appearance money. That they'd spent it all keeping up appearances." Lennox looks up, her eyes rimmed red. "Including my entire college fund. There never was one, Ria. They lied to both of us." The revelation settles between us like a third presence at the table. "They made me get a job at the mall," she continues. "Dad said I need to understand the value of $1, like it's some big life lesson and not just punishment for getting caught." I finish. She nods, a tear slipping down her cheek. "How did you do it? Work so much and still keep your grades up? I'm failing 2 classes already." The question lacks her usual competitive edge. For the first time, Lennox looks at me not as a rival but as someone who survived something she's only beginning to understand. "One day at a time," I answer, surprising myself with the lack of bitterness in my voice. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. A recognition of our shared wounds, differently inflicted. As we talk, my phone lights up with yet another call from our father. The 7th this week. I silence it without looking, just as the bookstore keys shift in my Pokita reminder of where I belong now and what I've survived to claim. I stand behind the counter at Everett's Books, watching sunlight stream through the newly installed skylights. 2 years have transformed this space and me along with it. The dated carpeting has given way to polished hardwood. Vintage reading lamps cast warm pools of light onto comfortable chairs. The air smells of paper, coffee, and possibility. "Miss Everett, Where would I find books on astronomy? A college freshman with anxious eyes approaches the counter. Second aisle, blue section. I point toward the science corner. Are you taking Professor Whitman's intro course? Her eyes widen. How did you know? Thursday evening student readings. I host them upstairs in the community room. I reach under the counter for a flyer. 7 o'clock. Free coffee and good company. She takes the flyer, smiling. I'll be there. After she walks away, I run my fingers along the polished wood of the counter. Mine. Not just the business, the apartment upstairs, too. Small but perfect. With windows overlooking Main Street and bookshelves lining every wall. No rent envelopes. No borrowed dresses. No empty refrigerator shelf with my name taped to it. The bell above the door chimes. Lennox walks in, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Her hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail, her face free of makeup. Working 20 hours weekly at the campus coffee shop has stripped away some of her polish, replacing it with something more substantial. Hey, she approaches cautiously, always tentative in this space. I brought those marketing textbooks you wanted to look at. Our relationship remains a work in progress. She attends community college now, not the prestigious university our parents promised. The SUV was sold last year to help cover tuition. The allowance never materialized. Thanks. How's the psychology paper coming? I ask. Finished it yesterday after my shift. Pride flickers across her face. First day in the class. I nod, genuinely pleased for her. Good work. The phone rings, and I check the caller ID. Mom. Again. I let it go to voicemail like I've done for months. Their desperate excuses grow tiresome. How they meant to tell me about Grandpa's money, how they planned to pay it back someday, how they never meant to hurt me. Lennox notices but says nothing. She understands now. Some trust, once broken, stays fractured. The bell chimes again. Mrs. Holloway, my former literature teacher, enters with a stack of book club selections. Rhea, the store looks wonderful. She glances around appreciatively. I hardly recognize it. Thank you. We've expanded the online operation too. She sets her books on the counter. I tell my students about you, the quiet girl who graduated with honors while working full-time. I finished my business degree last month. I say, feeling a flush of pride. How did you manage it all? She asks. So many young people give up when things get difficult. I glance toward the back office where Grandpa sits reviewing inventory, his silver hair catching the light. I learned what truly matters. I answer simply. Later, after closing, I write in my journal while seated at the window overlooking Main Street. The words flow easily tonight. This life, this business, it was never theirs to take. The stairs creak as Grandpa makes his way up with our evening tea. This is our ritual planning tomorrow while the day's receipts settle. Sign company called, he says, setting down my cup. Installation tomorrow at 9. We move to the front window, looking down at the storefront below. The old Everett's Books sign will come down in the morning. Thank you for seeing me when they couldn't, I say quietly. Grandpa's weathered hand finds mine. The best investments are in people who show up. Tomorrow, the new sign goes up. Everett and Rhea's Books. Mine. At last.